I never knew my husband was married to another woman until I got a call that changed everything. It was a love story that seemed to leap straight out of a fairy tale. I met Ethan on a rainy Thursday afternoon when I accidentally bumped into him at a quaint little bookstore in my hometown. I remember how he smiled as he bent to pick up the book I had dropped, a collection of poems by Rumi. "You've got great taste," he said, his voice warm and deep. From that moment on, our lives seemed intertwined. Ethan was charming, attentive, and every bit the gentleman. We fell in love hard and fast, and within a year, he proposed during a weekend getaway in the mountains. I thought I had hit the jackpot. Our wedding was small but magical, just close family and friends in a cozy garden under twinkling fairy lights. I believed I had found my soulmate. The honeymoon phase of our marriage was everything I had ever dreamed of. Ethan was supportive of my career, always encouraging me to chase my dreams while he worked tirelessly as an architect. But little did I know, the man I thought I knew so well was hiding a secret that would shatter my world. The first sign of trouble came about a year into our marriage. Ethan started spending more and more time away from home. At first, he blamed work. "Deadlines are piling up," he'd say, planting a kiss on my forehead before heading out for yet another late night at the office. But the absences became more frequent, and his excuses began to feel thin. He started guarding his phone like it was a state secret, always turning the screen away from me or leaving the room to take calls. One night, curiosity got the better of me. While Ethan was in the shower, I grabbed his phone and unlocked it with the passcode I had memorized long ago. I wasn't looking for anything specific, just reassurance. What I found was a message thread with someone named Lila. The conversation wasn't overtly romantic, but it was intimate enough to make my stomach churn. Messages like "I miss you" and "Can't wait to see you this weekend" felt like daggers to my heart. "Who's Lila?" I asked casually that evening as we ate dinner. Ethan barely flinched. "Oh, she's a colleague. We're working on a big project together." I wanted to believe him, so I let it go. But deep down, I knew something was off. Everything came crashing down on a quiet Sunday afternoon. Ethan had gone out to run errands, and I was curled up on the couch with a cup of tea, scrolling mindlessly through social media. That's when my phone rang. The caller ID was unfamiliar, but I answered anyway. "Hello. Is this Sophia?" a woman's voice asked, sharp and accusatory. "Yes, who's this?" "This is Lila," she said, her voice steady but dripping with anger. "I think it's time we had a talk about Ethan." My heart stopped. "I'm sorry, I don't understand." "Oh, you understand perfectly," she snapped. "You're his wife, aren't you?" "Well, guess what? So am I." Her words hit me like a freight train. I felt the air leave my lungs as my mind raced to process what she was saying. What are you talking about?" I stammered. Lila wasted no time. She told me she had been married to Ethan for 5 years. 5 years. That was 2 years longer than we had been together. She said they lived in a town about 45 minutes away and that she had started suspecting something was wrong when Ethan's behavior toward her had grown distant. "I found photos of your wedding on his laptop," she said bitterly. "That's how I found you." I sat there in stunned silence as she described the life Ethan had built with her that sounded eerily similar to the one he had built with him. When Ethan came home later that evening, I was waiting for him. "We need to talk," I said, my voice trembling with barely contained rage. He froze in the doorway, his face pale. "What's going on?" "I got a call from Lila today," I said, watching his reaction carefully. His eyes widened for a split second before he quickly masked his expression. "Sophia, I can explain." "Explain what?" I snapped. "That you've been married to another woman this entire time. That our entire relationship is a lie." He opened his mouth to respond but closed it again, as if the weight of his lies had finally crushed him. "I never meant for this to happen," he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. "Never meant for what to happen, Ethan. To get caught." He tried to spin a story about how his marriage to Lila had been falling apart long before he met me and how he hadn't known how to end things with her. But his excuses only made me angrier. "How could you do this to me? To her? To both of us?" I demanded, tears streaming down my face. Ethan didn't have an answer. And in that moment, I realized I didn't need one. In the weeks that followed, I reached out to Lila. At first, our conversations were tense and awkward, but as we shared our stories, a strange sense of solidarity began to form between us. We were both victims of Ethan's lies, and we both deserved better. Together, we confronted him one final time. Ethan was visibly shaken, caught between two women who now saw him for who he truly was. Lila and I both decided to leave him. For me, it wasn't just about ending my marriage, it was about reclaiming my sense of self. The process of moving on wasn't easy. There were days when I felt broken, like my life had been torn apart. But there were also days when I felt stronger than ever, determined to rebuild and move on. I started a blog to document my journey of healing and self-discovery. To my surprise, it resonated with people around the world. Women reached out to share their own stories of betrayal and resilience, and I realized that my pain had a purpose, to help others find their strength. Eventually, I turned my blog into a YouTube channel, where I shared my story in detail. The video went viral, and the outpouring of support was overwhelming. People were captivated not just by the drama of my experience, but by the way I had turned it into an opportunity for growth. Today, I'm in a much better place. I've learned to trust myself again, and I've built a life that's authentically mine. As for Ethan, I have no idea where he is, and honestly, I don't care. This journey taught me that even the most devastating betrayals can lead to unexpected blessings. And while I never forget the pain Ethan caused, I'm grateful for the strength I found in its wake. Because in the end, it's not about the storm, it's about how you rise after it.